Hi, welcome! I'm T-Bird. You are fantastic, and it's time to get back into cooking. Love it. I found some great recipes for today, or at least I hope they're great recipes. We are continuing our saga. Maybe that's the right word? Not sure. Have to think of a right word for this. Continuing our voyage. How about that? Continuing our voyage through this cookbook, Smitten Kitchen Keepers. So, I've got winter squash soup with red onion crisp, Brussels sprouts and ricotta toast, and an apple cider old-fashioned on the menu for today. Yes, there's booze in this cookbook. I forgot about that. But when I looked at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I think this could be good. And it makes enough. It makes like a big carafe, so I can take it up on Sunday so we can sip on it when we watch the Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. How do I do that? I was trying to figure out how to do that. Yes. Good morning, Hooch Bazooka. I meant to say good morning. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do that, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I was like right-clicking and nothing's happening, so I'm not sure. Maybe this? No, not that thing, not that thing. Click on the nail. Where's the nail? Not the pin. Or I click on them. Oh, got it. Maybe. I'm out. There we go. Got it. I was afraid if I clicked on them that it would send me to their page or something. That's why I was trying right-click. Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you for helping me out. I appreciate that, because I do not want freaking bots in my stream. Anyway, yes, good morning. How are you doing? Okay, so the deal is we need to take apple cider and boil it down to make a syrup, and then we mix that into the alcohol. So I'm gonna start that going right away, because that takes like half an hour according to her. Exactly, get them out of here. So let us... Oh right, the other pot is in the sink because Ben used it for ramen last night. Oops. Well, I'll just use the bigger one. I mean, it'll probably work out better to use the bigger one. Or actually, why don't I use the skillet? Sorry for clink, clank, clunk. But I mean, if I'm trying to reduce something, when you're trying to reduce something, you want as much surface area as possible to maximize evaporation. So, why not use this thing? So we need 1 quart of apple cider. I do not really understand at the store what the difference is between apple cider and apple juice. It seems about the same to me, especially when you're dealing with commercial brands. If you're dealing with smaller, home brands or something like that, maybe. But I see apple juice, apple cider, and then I see stuff that's like whole pressed apple juice, so that it's like cloudy and got, the pulp in it or something, and that looks more like apple cider to me than this. But I don't know. What do I know? Oh, and we want some spice in here too, because she said if it's not spiced apple cider, then you add a ½ teaspoon pumpkin or apple pie spice blend. So that will be a thing. And I think I had some pumpkin pie spice blend. Yeah, what is in this one? Yeah, I did a look through of my cupboard the other day and found that there was some stuff in the back that I'd forgotten that I had, like some salts and spices, and I had pumpkin pie spice, and then Ben had bought pumpkin pie spice. However, looking at these, this one's got mace and cloves in it. Hey, thank you for the follow, Epic Fail. Welcome in. Welcome to the birdhouse. I'm T-Bird. I'm the crazy one around here, but crazies and geeks of all kinds are welcome. So, this one has mace and cloves in it. this one does not. So, yeah, I'm using this one. Hi! Wow! I think I can almost do that. Hello! Welcome in! How are you doing today? You're also under no obligation to chat, by the way. I just asked just in case you wanted to share. But if you don't feel like chatting, sit back, relax, and let's make some delicious food. Oh, that smells good. Okay, so about a half teaspoon of that, and if it's a little bit extra, that doesn't hurt anything. Oh, actually, I should put the whiskey in the freezer. It's going to chill, like the whole drink is going to chill later, but it'll go faster if I put booze in the freezer right now. And okay, so we're gonna get that going. Boil over high heat until it is a shade darker and syrupy, reduced to about 2/3 of a cup in volume. Yeah, that's gonna take a while to do that, but fortunately, this thing heats up really fast. I am doing very well, thank you. Thank you for asking. It's always a good day when I get to cook some good food and chat with some nice people. So where are you joining us from? I usually like to ask people whereabouts in the world they are, because I find it extremely fascinating. Ooh, that's good. Hadn't done anything to drink yet today. Whoop. Just finished work and reached home, so chillin'. Nice. Oh, that sounds good. Oh, you're from Massachusetts. Oh yeah, I don't think I ever asked you where you were from. Sorry, Hooch Bazooka. I feel like I'm neglecting you. But everyone gets to learn about each other now. Nice. Okay, so let's get to the soup recipe. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I do not want to neglect anyone around here. Now, my stove is occupied, but maybe we can prep some stuff for the soup and then have that ready to go once this thing finishes reducing. Yeah, I've been to Massachusetts once. I went to Boston specifically. Did some of the Freedom Trail walk and such. Oh, Aiden's friend. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully it was a good recommendation on his part. Okay, so I've got... So that's pretty much all... Dang, does this all take skillet stuff? Well, I can do the squash. Let's do the squash. And I can, like, chop all this stuff. So this is a winter squash soup, which normally would mean I would buy butternut squash, because I like butternut squash. Well, yes, thanks to Aiden, but I mean, you didn't have to come into the stream, so thanks to you, too. So yeah, normally I would buy butternut squash. However, I don't think I have ever worked with acorn squash before, and since the soup just says winter squash, I'm like, you know what, I'm curious. I don't know. Oh, yeah, exactly. So I am going to be making... Turn that up a little bit so you can see more what's going on. So I'm going to be making a winter squash soup with red onion crisp. So I'm making 3 different things today. That's why there's kind of going to be a weird set of ingredients going on. The apple cider is for a drink. I'm going to make an apple cider old-fashioned. Oh, alcohol. I forgot about the alcohol. Oh, what a morning. It's not even 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm already pulling out the alcohol. What is today even? But yeah, so the apple cider is for an apple cider old-fashioned. Hey, Tina's, I see you there. Nice emotes, love it. But I mean, what better time to break out booze than among friends, huh? So, so I got some of this because I'm like apple cider with pumpkin spices in it. Now, normally I'm not a whiskey person. It's whiskey bourbon is pretty strong for me. However, Fireball cinnamon whiskey is like, this is some pretty good stuff, especially when it's frozen or like chilled, cold frozen. So I'm like cinnamon, apple, spices. This seems like a good combo. About to do chai tea? Nice. You enjoy that. Hopefully you don't get too sore doing that. So that was my reasoning behind this. Like, I know I like Fireball, and it's cinnamon and apples, and this is gonna be good, I think. And like I said, makes enough I can take it up to the house, or to Ben's dad's on Sunday to drink during the Super Bowl, which will be good. Okay, so I'm making that. I'm making the winter squash soup, and I am making a charred Brussels sprout toast with ricotta. So we got soup, side, drink. Sounds pretty good to me. Does this all go in a pan, or do I need the oven at all today? Dang. No, this is all going to be on the stovetop. Oh dear. Maybe I should have kept that in mind when I was doing the recipes, but I think this will work. I think this will work because we can prep the soup stuff while the apple cider cooks down. Then we can do the soup and let that simmer while we're prepping the Brussels sprout stuff, and then do the Brussels sprouts at the end. Sounds like a plan. I don't know if it's a good plan, but it sounds like a plan. Where is... Okay, I lost my soup recipe. There we go. Aha. And now the apple cider is boiling. Okay. So let's see. 2 pounds peeled, seeded winter squash in 1-inch cubes. And I can even cut it a little smaller to get it to cook faster, because it's going to get all pureed in the end anyway. So yeah, let's see what's going on here, because... Okay, so the skin is pretty, Oh, H&G Mom! Hi, goodbye! Thanks for popping in! Okay, so the skin is pretty thin on here, that's good. It said 2 pounds of squash, so I'm like, that's 2 pounds without the skin and the seeds and stuff, so how much squash do I get? I don't know how thick the skin is on this stuff, so I probably went slightly overboard on the squash. But, well, also, given that this has kind of ridges in it, I'm going to need to cut slightly deeper to get all the skin off. So I think it might work out just about right. This was about 4 pounds worth of squash for these 3. And there's going to be seeds inside that I need to take out. So we'll see how this goes. But I cannot remember ever working with acorn squash before, so this is good. I also noticed this book has clam chowder recipe in it, and I didn't realize she means whole clams, not canned clams. She means to get whole clams and use them in the soup. And I'm like, oh, that, I haven't worked with fresh clams in ages, but we'll see if I can get some at the store, because that would be cool. I like the opportunity to work with stuff I wouldn't normally, or like haven't had the chance to for a while. Oh, kabocha squash. I've heard of that. I don't know if I've ever seen one. I'm not sure if they have them at our store, but I've heard of that. Yeah, this is mainly I work with butternut squash, so I kind of judge everything by that standard. So it's like, this is a little paler, but it looks good. Oh yeah, and I want to see what's going on with seeds in here. Okay, so that's a pretty good ratio of flesh to seeds. Not bad. So I think this should work out about right with How much I need versus how much I'm taking off. Look almost exactly like the acorn ones, a little more orange inside. Thank you, Epic Fail. Did my mom tell you to say that? Seriously, though, it is always a good idea to use a knife safely. And I have a track record of not being the safest with stuff, or just things happening. I mean, I am a cook by trade, so I have a collection of scars and cuts and such. Now, the peel's just going in the trash. I do not want to risk putting this down the garbage disposal, because I have plugged up the garbage disposal before with potato peels. That was not fun. And you can't really use this for stock because it's so starchy. So I'm pretty sure you can't. I don't know, that would be worth Googling at least. Let's see. Oop. Squash skin for veg stock? Question mark. Not stick, stock. Stupid phone. Or maybe that was me. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's like autocorrect or not. Someone says squash peel adds good flavor to stock or broth. Use no more than 1/8 of the total stock ingredients. So like not a lot. Like not the majority of it being squash peel. Potatoes you definitely can't use. But it says squash peel you can use. What can I do with squash skin? Oh, it says you can just roast the skin and snack on it too, like chips. Interesting. I don't know about that, but I mean, you can try it if you want. I'm not sure about snacking on squash skin, but I'll save the rest of it, sure. Thank you for mentioning that, Mom. Because I wouldn't have thought about that. I would have just thought it's like too heavy and starchy and you wouldn't be able to use it. Well, you learn something new every day. Let's go. So where's my because this is what I do with my stuff. I got my bag of veggie scraps, and then I have my bag of chicken scraps. I usually have way more chicken scraps, so I need to wait for the veggie bag to get full, and then I shall be able to make chicken stock. Next question is, okay, there we go. I was like, is the sticker going to come off? That is the next question. Yeah, but humans make mistakes. Yeah, exactly. That I am aware of that. My latest one, I don't know if you can see it. There's just like a little bit of a nick on the end of my thumb there. I was chopping bell peppers at work in this like chopper machine thing we have. So it's like you take a bell pepper, put it on the machine, and then chop it down, up, pepper in, chop down. And then when I was putting the pepper in at one point, my thumb went a little too far down and nicked one of the blades. So it's mainly that it's in an annoying spot, because that's like my thumb, since I'm right-handed, that's what I use for leverage. So it's like that's what I use when I'm like typing or trying to wash dishes. Yesterday was a pain because I'm trying to scrub with my hand and it's like right there. But I also got a sick burn the other day. Well, not the other day. This is like a month and a half old. No, this is 2 months old now. 2 months ago. Wow, I didn't realize it was that long ago. So yeah, I will endeavor to be careful. But as they say, shit happens. But it is always a good idea to try to be careful. Okay. Yeah, I was recounting to someone at work the other day, like the first time a pan caught on fire when I was in a kitchen. I just totally panicked. I like tried to tilt the pan away from me, not realizing that fire just keeps burning up no matter which way you tilt the surface. And it was up to someone next to me to grab a lid and stick it onto the pot. And nowadays, the wok I'm in front of will just catch on fire and flame up, and I just kind of look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, fire, it'll go out. Yeah, it's funny how you get used to things after a while. It is still there after 2 months. Yeah, that was probably one of the nastiest burns I have ever gotten, so yeah, it's still there. All right. Yeah, this is good news because I want to make more chicken stock. I'm going to need to make more chicken stock soon if I'm going to finish all the soup recipes in this book. So, I need to build up my vegetables. Okay, the apple cider's coming along. It's definitely reduced some. It might be reduced by 1/3 right now. So we shall keep an eye on it. Yeah, this is what I meant about maybe having to peel more than... Even though the skin is thin, it's got the ridges in it, so I'm peeling it, but the skin is still stuck where the ridges were. So that means I have to take off more flesh than just the narrow skin. Narrow skin, what am I talking about? Thin skin would normally need. Okay. Pain makes the human stronger, yeah. That reminds me of I think it was a t-shirt I saw once that said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Except bears. Bears will just kill you. It was probably one I saw up in Tahoe, because they do a lot of bear-related stuff up there. But in general, yes. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Ooh, that looks pretty like that. It's almost like a little flower. Okay. Okay. Come here, yeah. That might be a Colbert Report joke. Aha, you watched the Colbert Report. Oh man, I remember watching that. It might have been. He might have said something like that. The one I remember the most from Colbert was when he said, he was like, Duncan, you lied. America does not run on Duncan. You owe me a new gas tank. And I lost it at that one. Oh, I loved watching Colbert Report. Yeah, we would watch Colbert and Daily Show all the time when I was growing up. There we go. I'm like, be careful, but I need to get the last little bits of skin out of this squash. Exactly, lol. I also remember him accurately predicting all 5 major categories of the Academy Awards one year. What was that year? It was the year that Crash won Best Picture. It was like 2005, 2006. And he was doing this sort of like word association game. You know, we'll start with this, and that reminds me of this, and that reminds me of this. And he word associated all the way up to Space Mountain, and then he stopped because Brokeback Mountain was nominated that year. So he's like, Mountain, something mountain. Oh, let's just say Crash. And Crash ended up winning, and he got 5 for 5. That was unreal. He didn't trust owls, and he's afraid of bears. I remember him talking about bees at one point, too. Like the 3 things about real estate: location, location, bees. But being afraid of bears, I didn't remember the bears one. Or the owls. Didn't trust owls. I mean, I can see that, not trusting owls. They're kind of shifty. They're like, they can almost turn their head around 180 degrees and like keep an eye on you. Now, I think the seeds I'm going to throw out. I don't feel really comfortable putting seeds in chicken stock, or just stock of any kind. Maybe I'm just paranoid because I know apple seeds are poisonous. I mean, you could probably eat these seeds. I'm just like, I got the feeling with like the strings and the pulp in there, I really don't want that in stock. Oh, is this boss music? This is boss music. Some of the jokes sound like what some people say seriously nowadays. Well, some people didn't know it was a parody at the time. I remember hearing that. Not to be political, obviously, but it's interesting. Yeah, I don't mind if you get a little political, as long as we're all civil about it. I am liberal, so as you might have guessed by me watching Colbert and Daily Show, so that gives you some idea of who you're talking to here. But as long as we're all civil about it, I don't mind a little bit of politics. But yeah, some conservatives would watch and think he was serious. So I can absolutely imagine that happening if you went back and watched it today. Godless killing machines. Oh, that does sound familiar. Now that you say that, that does sound familiar. But yeah, watching Colbert and Daily Show is kind of what kept us sane during the Bush years. And then things got crazier after that, obviously. But I think we'd kind of developed better coping mechanisms by then. Yeah, I haven't gone back and watched any of his episodes, though, and I mean, maybe I could find some on YouTube. I don't even know where you'd watch them anymore. Oh yeah, did you hear Jon Stewart is going back to The Daily Show? That'll be interesting. Honey, this smells a little different than butternut squash. It's almost more like pumpkin, which is good. I mean, I like pumpkin. Just different from what I was expecting. Yeah, absolutely crazier after that. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yeah, I like Jon Stewart a lot. I haven't seen him in a long time, though, because I think he was doing stuff on, like, HBO or something behind a paywall, I'm pretty sure. So I haven't heard his opinions in a while. Or maybe I'm getting a smell of the pumpkin pie spice too. No, definitely the squash. I mean, I'm getting some spice, but I can tell it's that pumpkin-y smell. Oof. Yeah, this is the thing that's definitely going to take the longest, prepping the squash. After that, you just got to chop some onions and some garlic. I think that's what we got to chop. Ooh, I think this is like the 3rd battle theme. Yeah, I think this is battle theme number 3. I was like, I know this is a battle theme from some part of the game. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes it is interesting living in Arizona as a liberal. Let's put it that way. Although Arizona is changing demographics. We're almost, I mean, we have a Democrat for governor right now. We are moving into the purple range of things. Finished Tai Chi early? Uh-oh, tummy issues. Yeah, hopefully you feel better. Maybe you want some tea or something? Slamming people about trans hormones, ignoring doctors, firearms, etc. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jon Stewart is definitely good about just voicing his opinions straight out. I should watch more John Oliver, too. He's good at that as well. Just sort of like, yeah, this is the way things are, so why are you arguing with it, essentially? Rural Rhode Island and rural Massachusetts are like the mini South. Dang, I didn't realize that. I always think of the East Coast, as like very liberal. But actually, it's almost the same way in California, because I'm from California originally. And it's like, yeah, the cities are very liberal, and then you get into the rural areas. Like, we lived up north in Lake Tahoe, and that was still very conservative up there. So, yeah, I suppose that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know, it's always an interesting thing how that splits up between cities and rural, and so drastically as well. Normally, I wouldn't be the type to weigh the squash now, but I am curious. Put it this way, I am the type to weigh it, but no matter what it weighs, I'm going to use it all. I'm weighing it mainly out of curiosity. So that's the way it's gonna be. Because it was about 4 pounds of squash that I had, and I need 2 pounds for the recipe, so I'm like, well, how much did I take off? I am curious. But no matter what the result, I am going to use all of it. And I still haven't gotten a battery for this. Ooh, apple cider is definitely cooking down more now. It needs a little bit more, but it's down by at least half. Good morning, Grandma. How are you doing today? All right, come on, there we go. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure why that line is so divisive between cities and rural areas. Or maybe it just seems that way, because I mean, you always get the stories of the extremes. So, like, I'm sure there's people in rural areas who are liberal and people in cities who are conservative. It just seems the overwhelming majority in both places. Come on. I need a new battery for this, but was hoping I could coax one more run out of it. It rained last night here too. Yeah. Okay, I think the battery finally gave out on this. I use this scale so seldom. I'm like, I always forget. Oh, I need a new battery for this. And it takes one of those like watch battery things, I think. So it's not like I can just go and grab a battery. Yeah, I think that's about done. Yeah, freaking watch battery. So I'm gonna leave this out somewhere so I remember. Put a scale. I mean, put a scale. What the heck am I talking about? Put a battery we shall just go with this. But I'm thinking this is slightly over the amount I need, but it'll be fine. If I had to guess, maybe I'd say this is 2.5 pounds, maybe up to 3 pounds. So we shall just go with that. Ooh, apple cider's almost done. That's smelling really good. Haha, speaking of politics, though, we watched some good movies the other day. Oh yeah, so Grandma, we watched Dave and the American President, finally. Because on Sunday we decided to stay here since there wasn't football to watch and Ben's dad was tired. So we're like, okay, we'll just stay around here. Let's watch some movies. So Ben's like, hey, what about those movies your grandma mentioned? Let's watch those. And we watched the movie that he was thinking about, which turned out to be Napoleon Dynamite. Oh, but yeah, it was... The weirdest things tend to happen when we watch movies, especially when we watch several in a row. So, firstly, we watched Dave. He was asking which one was better between Dave and American President. I'm like, I don't know. On instinct, I would say American President. But, we looked up the ratings for both of them, and Dave was rated a little bit higher. So he's like, okay, let's watch Dave first. I forgot how many people had cameos in that, like pundits and reporters and stuff. But also, Arnold Schwarzenegger in one scene. So that reminded Ben, oh, I still haven't shown you Kindergarten Cop. So that went on the list as well. Okay, we're looking at... Here is our apple cider. Dave, a TV series? No, it is a movie. So I'm thinking, it said reduced to about 2/3 of a cup. I'm thinking that might be close. Looks close. I have a tendency to over-reduce stuff, so I think I'm just gonna leave that be. Leave that be for a second while I finish doing the soup stuff. No, Dave is a movie from early 90s. Lilith Labyrinth, hi, welcome in. Oh yes, hydrate, thank you. Everyone hydrate. Everyone have a glass of something. Water, soda, juice, whatever. So, I'll tell you which movies we watched, and then I'll explain them in more detail. So we watched Dave, which had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. And there was a section of the music where Ben was like, I really thought that was going to go into the theme for the A-Team. Just this, like, how does that thing go? Like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like, big horns and such. So then he's like, next movie, he says, okay, so we got Napoleon Dynamite and Kindergarten Cop. Which one do you want to watch? I'm like, given that you described Napoleon Dynamite as an indie artsy movie, and I'm rarely in the mood for those, let's watch that now while I'm in the mood, like before I change my mind. And it turned out to be fun. I enjoyed it more than I usually do movies that don't have a specific plot to them. However, in Napoleon Dynamite, they did play the theme for the A-Team, which made us both crack up so hard. Then we watched, whoa, and why do you do that? iPad, never mind. So then we watched The American President, which I normally think of in conjunction with Dave, like those are connected in my mind. And Ben decides to make a joke when we're watching the opening credits, which are amazing. The opening credits are really pretty. But the costume designer came up, and he's like, oh no, not that costume designer, really? And of course I look at him like, what the hell are you talking about? And he described, when we go to a classic film festival in LA each April, and he said whenever we go to the festival, someone will clap at a random name that pops up on the screen, like art designer or costume designer, something like that. And he's always wondered, I wonder what would happen if a random name came up and I just booed that person. Like, what would people do? So he just decided to do it. Costume designer, who is that person? we watch The American President. We decided to watch Kindergarten Cop afterwards because we had enough time before we went to bed. Yes, we watched 4 movies in one day. Because that is what we do when we want to watch movies. We're watching Kindergarten Cop. Watching the credits of Kindergarten Cop. The costume designer comes up, and I look at Ben and go, isn't that the same person who did American President? Or am I just nuts? But you specifically called out their name, and I remembered it was an alliterative GG. It was Gloria somebody. So he looks it up. It is. It is the same person. Like, what are the flipping odds of that happening? That A, we would watch these 2 movies back to back. B, he would decide to call out that specific name. And C, that it would be the same person who did the costumes for both 2 very different movies. Very different movies. And I'm like, they were even different production companies, I'm pretty sure. Like, one was Universal and one was like Castle Rock or something. I know! I'm like, what? What are the freaking odds of that? And then there was something in American President that made him think of the Universal theme. And then Kindergarten Cop turned out to be Universal, so we heard the theme. So it was like all the movies we watched that day sort of intersected with each other. And I'm like, this is insane, but it is awesome. Like, I am on board with this. I love it. Okay, so I need to finely dice a 1/4 cup of the onion and then thinly slice the rest. Okay, making sure I'm on track for the recipes, but I mean, I had to just gesticulate wildly for that bit because I could not believe it. Like, what are the flipping odds? Seriously. But yes, so, Dave. So Dave is a romantic comedy from the early 90s with Kevin Kline, Sigourney Weaver, a lot of different people in it, actually. Oh yeah, no problem, Grandma. What, you don't like squash or you don't like that much onion? So, yeah, Dave is definitely wonderful. Oh, the squash. Gotcha. But yeah, Ben mentioned when we finished both of them, he said, I can see people not liking American President as much because it's smarter. I'm like, that's kind of an accurate way to describe it. American President reads as a very smart movie. And Ben said the best part of American President was the dialogue, which I would agree with. And it also made him curious to watch West Wing. Every meal I make starts to chop an onion. That is the mark of a good recipe. But, well, that is also the mark of most recipes. Yeah, you are right. Ooh, that is a bleeding onion. Actually, let me put that, whoa, in my veggie bag as well. So yeah, so we might be watching The West Wing at some point. But yeah, so, Hooch Bazooka. Yeah, so Dave involves an impersonator, someone who, makes a living impersonating the president, and then he gets hired to double for the president for real at an event. And then something happens to the president, which leads the chief of staff to start getting a bit power hungry and like, oh, I have a chance here to seize some power. So they convince Dave to keep pretending to be the president for a while longer, just until they can get their maneuvering done and get him elected, or him appointed vice president, and then he can succeed Dave. You know, that complicated plan, but that's the general gist of it. And then Sigourney Weaver is the first lady, so they're trying to fool her at the same time. And so it gets a little, it doesn't get zany, I would say, but it is heartfelt and yeah, pretty fun. Watched the very first episode of West Wing, just everyone running around so much that we never watched it again. First episodes can be rough. That is true. I try not to judge a TV show on its very first episode. So, because it can take a little while for them to find their groove. But I remember seeing one clip from it once where he was going up against someone talking about how homosexuality is a sin because it says in Leviticus, and he starts blasting Bible verses at her like, oh, well, so I shouldn't wear this clothing because it's made from 2 different types of thread, and when I want to sell my daughter because she, you know, dishonored me, is that considered ethical in this instance? And then he just like rattles off different verses, and then he's finally like, you know, when the president stands, no one sits, because she's sitting in front of him, and just like, like that was that I don't know where that comes up in the series, but that was like a highly satisfying, like, you know, gotcha sort of moment. So I'm hoping from things like that. I mean, honestly though, isn't American President sort of people running around a lot? Somewhat, I suppose. I suppose if it's just like if you took the romance out of American President and just focused on the people running around, which I don't think I would mind. Okay. Quarter cup. Why am I bothering measuring stuff? It's soup. Okay, so quarter cup diced gets set aside. Actually, let me get a bowl. Let's see. Oh yeah, so then the next night, well actually, since Richard Dreyfuss is an American President, he got reminded of another movie we haven't watched yet called Mr. Holland's Opus. Don't know anything about it, but it's got Richard Dreyfuss in it. So we were talking about Richard Dreyfuss, and I said, oh, well, I know him mostly from Close Encounters of the Third Kind when I was growing up. And Ben goes, oh yeah, I've never seen that. And I looked at him, and I'm like, excuse me? I thought for sure you had, because he told me a story. That was very good. I have the DVD. Oh, Mr. Holland's Opus? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. No, I know zilch about it, so don't tell me anything about it, because Ben wouldn't want me to get spoilers. But that's good to know that you like it. That encourages me, because I know nothing about it. And then thinly slice the rest of the onion. Okay, got it. But Ben had told me a story once where he was at work and someone had the Close Encounters theme on their phone, you know, the do 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 do, and someone else heard it and went, oh, I love that movie, I love E.T. And Ben just about flipped out on them, because he's like, that is not E.T., that is not where that's from. So when he told me that story, I assumed he'd seen Close Encounters. And then it turns out he hasn't, so I'm like, okay, this is happening at some point. The only problem is both of those movies, Mr. Holland's Opus and Close Encounters, are very long, like 2 hours and 20 minutes long for both of them, so we didn't get to those yet. But maybe one tonight, one tomorrow. What we did get to, not last night, Monday night, was a movie he thought I would be more interested than he would, even though he had watched it at some point, but he didn't remember any of it, called Far from the Madding Crowd. Very Pride and Prejudice era. Had Carey Mulligan and Michael Sheen. I think those were the only 2 people I recognized. Picnic bread. The bread has not appeared yet, but the bread will appear later. I am prepping soup right now, and then bread will appear later, because I'm making Brussels sprouts and ricotta toasts. But at the moment, I gotta chop everything first. Chop, chop, chop. Actually, I can probably put together the drink now, too, and have that chilling for when the soup is done. Your enemy, Soup? What's wrong with Soup? What did Soup ever do to you? Tell me your villain origin story. Okay. So then... garlic and ginger. Now, the store was out of ginger. I could not find ginger anywhere. However, if I don't knock everything over in my freezer, I do have this stuff that's very good that I found in the frozen section. And it's just little bits of pure ginger. Hey, thank you for the follow, Technique Bread. Soup that's evil, not you. That's what all villains say. Oh, it's not me who's evil, it's the world. Except perhaps the Joker. He would probably admit that he's evil. But what is it about Soup that's evil? That's what I'm curious about. Because, I mean, Soup is good. You can do so much with Soup. It says you're watching without audio? I don't see that. Now, he's got just like a little emote that says 2023. We love Soup and we love evil. I must say there is something to be said about a hot bad guy. I mean, Loki, come on. Yeah, and is anybody in here watching Good Omens? I mean, I guess Crowley's not technically super evil, but I mean, bad boy vibe. Bad boy vibe, that's what I'm talking about. Not evil villain bad boy vibe. That's what I'm talking about. Super evil. Yes, we are up to puns. We are up to puns, yes. Oh, but before I lose my train of thought completely, because most ginger purees I've found have sugar in them for some reason. Like in the produce section, like the little tubes of stuff. They have sugar in them. Don't know why. But this one, just ginger, water, citrus fibers, and lemon concentrate. No sugar. So, and I think each of these is a teaspoon. So we're gonna go with that. Hi, Gizmo! But yeah, I'm like, between Good Omens, Our Flag Means Death, and Loki, we are like up to our ears in bad boys dressed in black leather. Does Loki wear leather? I haven't actually watched Loki season 2, but everyone was just comparing them all over the place. Like, you hate Soup with a burning passion, but why? This is what has me curious. The why. Okay, I need garlic before I totally make a fool of myself gushing over fictional bad boys. Oh my goodness. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So we need. Okay, 4, but divided. Got it. So we're using 3 for the soup and 1 for the topping. And maybe a little bit more. Oh. Yes, exactly. Bread normally gets along so well with soup. I mean, that's why I'm making my little toast crisp thingies. That's why I'm like, what did Soup ever do to you? Ah, I see what's going on here. Okay, yeah. So you go too well with Soup. Touch water or soup dissolver yet musty. Ah ha ha ha. Okay, I gotcha. So maybe love-hate relationship. Now I've got Good Omens on the brain. Oh my god, because now I'm thinking bread, soup, angel, demon, like touch, dissolve, you know, holy water and hellfire and all that. Oh, I gotta get out of my brain. Oh yeah, no problem, Grandma. See you in a second. Alright, I don't want to crush these too much because I need to slice them. Oh, that is not good. That one is, though. Okay, yeah, that one got a little shriveled. Never. Hooch Bazooka. Never realized that's how you want to go, being dissolved in soup. I suppose there are worse ways to go. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. What kind of soup would you want to be dissolved in, though? second it tastes terrible. Only solid food is good? What? So wait a minute, do you not like smoothies? Or milkshakes? Or does ice cream count as a solid food? Since it melts. Now we're gonna get into some semantics here. Okay, do I need to chop anything else after this garlic? No. Okay, good. I'm like, I've been chopping for a while now. I would like to make soup now, please. So, I just need to... Just need to slice the garlic, and then we can make soup. Actually, might as well put that for the stock, since that's all shriveled up anyway. Okay. I mean, fruit soup and ice cream soup. a smooth? Yeah, a smoothie is fruit soup. I accept that headcanon. There we go. Ice cream soup, though? Well, milkshake. Yeah, you're right. Milkshake is ice cream soup. Smoothie is fruit soup. Yes, that is accepted. But I'm like, in general, do you count ice cream as a solid food? Because it starts solid, but it doesn't stay that way for very long. So, I'm not sure. There has to be some sort of in-between stage, like how you have, like for states of matter, you have solid and liquid, but then you have gas and plasma. Like you have solid food, liquid food, but there's gotta be like plasma food in here somewhere or something, like Jello and ice cream and things of that sort. It's like the question of, is a hot dog a sandwich? I can see arguments for, I can see arguments against. Personally, I think on a technical level, yes, a hot dog is a sandwich. But it's also one of those things where it's like, it is not very similar to any other type of sandwich, so I could see someone arguing against it, but then what is it? Okay, so that goes there, this goes here. It's a taco? Actually? Yes. I would agree with that. Hell yeah, it is much more similar to a taco. You're right. So is a taco a sandwich? Probably not. A taco seems like its own thing, its own subject, its own category, because you can do all sorts of different things to a taco. A hot dog is a taco. You know what? I like that. I like that because it's just so unexpected. Oh, yeah. You can freeze soup to eat later. That's true, but I mean, would you eat frozen soup? I mean, it's gonna dissolve eventually. So is everything soup? Interesting. Everything can become a soup, I suppose, would be the best way to put it. Yeah, hot dog is a taco. I'm taking that. Thank you, Lilith Labyrinth. Yeah. Taco is taco with one piece of bread. Do you mean taco is a sandwich with one piece of bread, or... I mean, a hot dog, technically it's one piece of bread. It is one bun, like it's hinged. So yeah, so sandwich has two pieces of bread, taco has one piece of bread. There is some logic to that, yes. Okay, I got, aha, yeah. See, once this thing cooled, it got very syrupy, so I would not want to have reduced that any more than it had. You've thought long and deeply about this topic. Sandwich is two pieces, okay. I can tell you have given this a lot of thought. I feel like I am at the feet of a guru who is like, you are asking the wrong question. Like, oh, you're asking, is a hot dog a sandwich? And no, it is a taco. Like, yes. Why didn't I think of that before? Lovely. So if I make half a tuna sandwich by cutting one piece of bread in half, it's not a taco? If you cut the bread in half, I don't think so. If you like folded the bread in half so that it made like, you know, the little V so it wasn't cut in half, you might be able to call it a taco. Okay, let me get back. I'm getting distracted, but I do not mind because I am loving this conversation right now. Absolutely into it. Let's make a drink to go with it. So, and it's cooled to room temperature. Whisk in bitters. How many bitters? 12 shakes of bitters. And I do have bitters. But yeah, this sort of begs the question then, you could make a sandwich into a taco. Like if you took sandwich fillings and put them in a taco shell, you can make a taco out of them. And likewise, if you put taco fillings in between two pieces of bread, you can make them into a sandwich. So that supports the argument that it is the shape of the bread and the nature of the bread that determines what is and what is not a sandwich or a taco. Ooh, which one is this? I think this is They Who Govern Reason? No, this is Battle at Journey's End, I think. But like, yeah. Oof. Sorry, distracted by music. Okay, so. Actually, this can just stay here now because I don't think I'm heating this up again. So we have a full cutting board. Yes, we do, but never mind because we're about to put together some booze here. Oh, that smells so good. All right, 12 shakes of bitters. Yeah, and I have bitters because when I was in Australia, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and a little bit more. When I was in Australia, they had this drink called lemon lime bitters. I'd never heard of it before. And it's lemonade, or sometimes it's lemonade and Sprite. It would vary a little bit from place to place, but it was like some combination of lemonade and Sprite, lime juice, and some bitters. Oh no, this is Decisive Battle 2. That's what's going on here. Sorry, I was trying to identify the piece of music. And I absolutely fell in love with that drink, and I had it everywhere that I went. And then, of course, coming back here, no one's heard of it. So, Mom got me some bitters, and I can just make my own. We have to qualify different aspects of what makes a taco versus what makes a sandwich. Tacos are usually warm cooked meats, while sandwiches are usually cold meats. I might beg to differ on that point. I don't think sandwiches are usually cold. I think there's probably a mix of like half and half hot and cold sandwiches, because you got your Reuben sandwiches, you got your French dips. Tuna you can do hot or cold. Tuna melts are one of my favorites. So you got tuna salad or tuna melt. You have grilled cheese sandwiches. And then you can add whatever sort of thing. You have grilled ham and cheese. What I will say, though, is that the form of the meat is usually different. But that's heating the whole sandwich. I suppose some places you would, but then you kind of get into how else are you going to heat it. Some places where I've worked, we would fry the meat before putting it in the sandwich and then heat the sandwich. But I think the form of the meat is definitely different, because tacos usually take ground meat or chopped meat, and then with a sandwich you're usually dealing with whole slices and whole pieces of stuff. So that would be a distinguishing feature, I would say. Is Sloppy Joe a sandwich? Do you put 2 pieces of bread on a sloppy joe? Hey, Aiden, how's it going? Because I think I've heard it both ways with sloppy joes. Like, you can have it open-faced, or you can have it with a lid on it. But the way we've done sloppy joes, I would call it a sandwich. I suppose it depends. Do you have to be able to pick it up to call it a sandwich? We are all doing very well. Burger. But see, I would call a burger, I think a burger is a sandwich. I think a burger is a type of sandwich. That, I think, should not be in dispute. You use 2 pieces of bread, then it's a sandwich. Yeah, Aiden, you came into the middle of a spirited discussion with what makes a sandwich versus what makes a taco. Because I was asking if a hot dog was a sandwich, and I've been informed it's a taco, and I agree with that. What's not? Are you talking about the sloppy joe or the burger? Sloppy joes can be picked up with the correct type of bread. Yes, the way we've done sloppy joes, I have been able to pick them up. So I consider it a sandwich, and I believe a burger should be considered a sandwich. Burger is... Okay, why didn't that work? Sorry about that. Burger is burger, sandwich is sandwich? I suppose an argument could be made for that, but maybe burger should be like a subsection of sandwich. Make sure the sound alerts are working. Sound alerts. Might just be a case of me needing to get into it to make sure like it's activated again. That happens with the links and stuff too. Yeah, says everything's okay. Maybe just need to leave that open. Okie dokie. Where was I? I mean, I think... +1, so you agree with that? And I feel like... Oh, now I'm gonna mix up my whole, Okay, so anyway, we got bitters in here, and then we want to whisk in the whiskey until it's combined. Whisk the whiskey. I know, I feel like sort of on the order of like genus, species, class. It's like sandwich is the big category and then burgers go underneath it. So it's like, it's in the same family. You don't have to consider it the same thing, but you can't deny they're related. Hot dogs are tacos, sloppy joes are burgers, but burgers are not sandwiches. I agree with 2/3 of that. Burgers are sandwich adjacent. Burgers are in the sandwich family. That is what I will say. Like, they have 2 pieces of bread. They involve a slab of meat. So they should be considered in the same branch of the food evolutionary tree. Okay, she said it would take a little bit to actually work in the apple cider into this, so I'm trying to get this to dissolve. Come here. Those all fall under breads topped with fillings. Yes, I would agree with that, because then you have your bruschetta, which I suppose is technically an open-faced sandwich, which seems like that's opening a whole other can of worms, open-faced sandwiches. So you have your, bruschetta, that's another category. I am a massive fan of this entire, kingdom? Phyla? Whatever, of breads topped with fillings. I am a major fan of all of them. I should make a chart for this. That would be fun. Make a chart with like, okay, so we have breads with fillings, we have sandwiches and tacos, and then under sandwiches there are burgers. That seems to be the general gist of things now. Oh my god, Egg Benedict. You know, I thought about Canadian bacon when we were talking about cooking meat before putting it in a sandwich. I thought about Canadian bacon and Eggs Benedict. Yeah, spreadsheet, family tree, exactly. Ooh, Eggs Benedict. I want to say that falls under the open-faced sandwiches category, but like not in its own little, like how burgers are under sandwiches. Eggs Benedict is under open-faced sandwiches, but it's not quite, because it's not meant to be picked up. You are meant to eat it with a fork, like something like bruschetta with like a piece of toast, like you're meant to pick up and bite. But Eggs Benedict, you're meant to eat with a fork. Beans on toast, open-faced sandwich. Yeah, open-faced sandwich. Okay, there we go. Now we get to taste. Taste and add more whiskey up to half a cup if desired. I'm gonna have a little taste. I'm not gonna be a lush at 11 in the morning, but this is for science. Woo! Oh ho ho! You came in at the wrong time, I guess? What do you mean the wrong time? You came in at a perfect time. You came in when the booze was here. That is quite delicious though. Wow. It's strong. It is strong, don't get me wrong. But there's this underlying spicy sweet that is really good. That's really appealing. That fireball is prevalent though. Like if you wanted it more sweet, you should get a milder whiskey rather than the freaking cinnamon fireball, but it's good. It's good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Willis. Why'd you come in at the wrong time? That's an hors d'oeuvre depending on size. The bruschetta or the beans on toast? But yeah, hors d'oeuvres are another category then. So you're kind of like sharing. It's like parent categories, like hors d'oeuvre and open-faced sandwiches sort of lead into the same things. Alright, it says to pour this into a carafe. I don't got a carafe. I got a plastic pitcher. Like, that's what I got. I got a plastic pitcher. So I think this is good. There, let's see. Whee! Oh, I didn't quite get all of it dissolved. Let's get that mixed in here. And I think it will be, whoa, do not do that. Actually, I'm gonna scrape that with a spoon. Ooh, yeah, here's like syrupy tendrils. Never mind. Oh, it's okay, Aiden. Didn't mean to pressure you. I was just curious is all. Ooh, let's see. Spoon. I do not want to use the spoon that I was using to taste it, because that's cross-contamination, and that's not good. But I like this idea because an old-fashioned is not a cocktail I would normally have, because traditionally an old-fashioned is just whiskey, bitters, and a sugar cube, I think, and like an orange peel. Very straightforward, very strong on the whiskey, and I am not a traditional whiskey person, put it that way. I like Fireball. Someone at work also gave Ben a bottle of peanut butter whiskey. That was very good. But just straight up whiskey, not really. So this is a good mix. I am liking this. No, you good? Oh, thanks for the alert, Clenching Duke. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were good. I'm like, no pressure. Bruschetta, Google says it's an antipasto, lol. Oh god, well now we're getting into international categories. That feels like it needs its own freaking spreadsheet. I think we need to just deal with American definitions or like English definitions for the moment, and then we can worry about international definitions. Because I think in France the entree is technically the appetizer. Because it's like the entrance to the meal. Entree. So it means the appetizer. So once you get into international stuff, it's like, oh man, all bets are off. And then I think in Italy because they have the antipasta, but then pasta is like the appetizer, and then you have the main course, and oh boy, it's like there's a lot going on there. Now, though, I'm wondering, is a tart a taco? I mean, it's a crust, it's not bread, but it's still a starchy vessel containing a filling. I wonder if that's something that needs to go under the taco category. And pies too. I am having so much fun with this right now. So like, yeah, pies and tarts are like, now they're filled, yeah, but it's like a taco. You call it a shell. You have a taco shell and a pie shell and a tart shell. It's not like filled with the same things, but maybe they could go in that same family, that same category. All right, where is my soup? We're going to make soup now. We're going to make soup if it's the last thing I do. Okay, so we're gonna have a pot. I need you to move, Gizmo. Sorry. Gizmo sitting right where the cupboard needs to open. So I need to get a pot in the cupboard, but you're sitting in the way. Pardon me, cat. Okay. How big a pot do I need? I'll just grab the big one. Just in case. One moment, please. Ah. Now you're hungry? Yeah, finally. I mean, that is the hazard of watching cooking streams. You are bound to experience hunger. That is... I was going to say an unfortunate side effect, and then I'm like, is it that unfortunate? Ooh. I just discovered a sheen of apple cider on stuff around the stove. I guess that was boiling more vigorously than I thought it was. Let me just clear that off for a second. And we shall proceed with the soup making. So let's see what's going on here. Onion, garlic, ginger, cumin. Saute. Add squash. Add milk and broth. Simmer for 20 minutes. Puree, and then we make the topping. So I think I can... Got a chance to have a glance at that busy lady. Quiche sounds good. Yeah, I do like quiche. So I wonder if you have an opinion on this too. What is the difference between a quiche and a tart and a pie? This is a question I would be curious to have the answer to, because I'm not sure I really have a definite opinion on the matter. Clean off the counter afterward. And this over. Savory pies and savory tarts too. So it's not all of it. Ah, dang it. My bad. Sorry. So yeah, so it's like, it's not the whole story. God freaking, okay. Godfrey Daniels, pardon me. I would need to get back to you. But it would be the difference in the crust filling and cooking style. Ooh, cooking style, I didn't think about that. But I mean, there's pies that have all sorts of different cooking styles though. Because you can have hot pies, cold pies. You can have no-bake pies, where you just put the filling in and just let it set. Oh yeah, no problem, Aiden. Thank you for popping in. See you later. Okay, heat 2 tablespoons oil over medium heat. Meow, did I move toward the treat cupboard? No bake is not a pie? Ooh, but then what is it? Because it's still filling in a crust. So what would you call it? Ah, Gizmo, don't make me trip over you, please. Add onion, 3 of the garlic cloves, all of the ginger, which is... It just calls for an inch piece of ginger. I'm not sure how that translates. I'm going to call that a tablespoon of ginger. And we'll go from there. And cumin. Cumin. Here we go. Cumin. Now, I think tarts are usually on the thinner side. Quiche is primarily eggs. Oh, I could see that. That's right. Quiche usually has eggs. A tart is normally fruit or maybe vegetables in one crust. A pie could have 1 or 2 crusts with a filling of anything. Interesting. All right, let me think about that for a sec while I put this in. It's pudding, lol, but pudding doesn't have a crust. I mean, when you say the word pudding, that conjures up a very specific image of something without a crust. Ooh, quiche with Swiss and Gruyere. That does sound good. Okay, so like the quiche definition, I think is sound. Quiche definitely is the one that would have the most eggs in it. However, of course, cutie pies. Yes, there are cutie pies too. However, as far as tarts go, you see a lot of sweet tart recipes. Like, I have a recipe for a dark chocolate tart. And in several of my dessert cookbooks, there are like whole sections for dessert tarts. So that, I think, comes down to style. Because I think dessert tarts I've seen are usually pretty thin, like maybe an inch thick maximum. Whereas pies can be like deep dish. Gruyere pudding? Fondue. You are describing fondue. Fondue is Gruyere pudding. Yes. Oh my god, yes. Oh, fondue is awesome. My parents went to Switzerland last year, and they had so much fondue in so many different places. I was so jealous. Oh, come on. Ginger. There we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's about a tablespoon of ginger. So yeah, fondue is cheese pudding. Whatever you're fond of calling it, I'm eating it. Yes, love it. So tarts have a pastry crust. I suppose, I mean, unless you're making a savory tart. I don't know if I've ever made a savory tart. You see, if I made a savory tart, I would probably be inclined to call it a quiche. Are there recipes for savory tarts? I suppose that is the underlying question here. A savory tart that is not a quiche. Or is a quiche a savory tart? And then straight tarts are like sweet. Now I'm getting confused. Oh my goodness. Cumin. 1 teaspoon. I love cumin. Ooh, that smells so good. 1/4 teaspoon red pepper flakes and a teaspoon of kosher salt. Now, salt, red pepper flakes. Well, let's see. Yeah, can't allow that. Here we go. Uses a puff pastry crust still, usually. Oh. I've seen tarts either way. I don't usually think of tarts having a puff pastry crust. Usually I think of it as having something that's more like a pie crust, where you like press it into a tin. But I usually think of them as very thin. But Grandma is also right in that pies can have either one crust or two. So that while tarts usually only have one, so that's something else to take into consideration. Oh, I see what you mean. Puff pastry would be for savory tarts. Oh, you're right. Yes. Yeah, I could see that. So yeah, puff pastry could be used for sweet or savory stuff. But yeah, that would be for a savory tart. Alright, put a little bit of red pepper flakes in here. Saute until tender, about 8 to 10 minutes. To make quiche is mostly eggs with some vegetables in it, while a savory Hello. Testing. Okay, I think I'm back. Team, maybe cut it out for a second. Yeah, there we go. Oh, back. So yeah, like I was saying, r/technically the truth, but that sounds not right. A clam cream pie. Oh my god. I mean, yeah, because I have seen recipes for pies where you like freeform it. You just spread the dough out and put filling in it and then like fold the dough around it, and that almost makes a bread bowl type thing. But let me look in my book, because I have this book. I've got this one that let me put this up. I've got this one that Kevin gave me, Pieometry, but it has pies and tarts. Oh yeah, that is a gullet. I think I have seen it called a pie someplace else too. I think Alton Brown had a recipe for a pear pie, and it turned out it was put together like a galette. But you are right, that is a galette. Again though, foreign terms, French terms, that's like big old different categories here. So yeah, so this has pies and tarts in it. So she has specifically different types of pastry. She has tart pastry and pie dough. So that's a different thing. But yeah, see, this is what I think of when I think tarts. See these like very thin pans, like an inch thick? I don't think I've seen anything called a tart that is not baked in that type of pan. So that could be a deciding factor as well. Or at least I haven't seen any sweet tarts that are baked in anything besides that type of pan. Now I'm just curious. I'm very curious about this sort of thing. But so yeah, so concluding statements, I suppose, are in order. Oh man, because we could go round and round on this all day. Not that I don't mind going round and round on it all day. Okay. Because then it's like we were talking about switching up taco fillings and sandwich fillings. You can switch up tart fillings and pie fillings. Like if you made, like you can make a quiche in a pie pan. It's still a quiche though. But if you make a pie in a tart pan, does that make it a tart or a pie? Oh, doesn't get close to the stove. I can make it a little bit closer. Up so I can see the book. Whoop. There we go. We need a culinary debate stream. We are having it right now, baby. Oh yeah. But that is an interesting idea. Maybe I should like post a topic in the Discord and be like, join next stream to debate this topic. That could be a good idea. Add squash. Cook for 1 minute. And then you'll be arguing in chat when we aren't streaming. Yep, exactly. Keep the conversation alive. Or pop over to the Discord and keep it going, too. Okay, add the squash. Cook for 1 minute. And then we'll add coconut milk and broth. And then we'll bring it to a simmer. Oh, and I need the lid, too. That's unusual. You've had trouble with your camera shutting off when you put it over the stove. Oh, interesting. I honestly don't know. I haven't had any problems with my camera doing that. It's a, I don't know, it's just your average webcam. I mean, it was Ben's. I got it secondhand, essentially, because it was his, and he just let me use it. So I don't really know, like, the specs on it or anything. But that's weird. It's not directly over the stove, but it's close enough. Oh, sorry. I was, like, trying to see if I could feel the heat. It's close enough it's feeling the steam, but it's not directly over the heat. Maybe you're putting it too directly over the heat? Ask what kind of camera? Yeah, I'm like, oh, it says Logitech on it. Logitech. I don't see, like, a specific, serial number. I don't see, like, a serial number or anything on it, but it says it's a Logitech webcam. So make of that what you will. So now, and it calls for vegetable broth. Okay, yeah, no problem. No, I think that's the only info I'll be able to give you on it. It's a Logitech webcam. That's all I know about it, really. That is my frozen stock. It calls for vegetable broth, but I have this really delicious turkey broth that I made from the leftover carcass on Thanksgiving. So that's what I'm putting in there right now. And then we'll use coconut milk. Coconut milk, yes. I made curry last week. Oh, that was so good. I haven't made curry for a while. There we go. Calm those sounds down a bit so I can hear myself talk without having to yell anymore. Alright, just rinsing out the can a little bit. I'll be right back to stir that in. Okay. Oh, that's some type of boss music. What is that? That might just be Decisive Battle 1. Okay, so we're gonna let that melt. Yeah, I probably should have taken the broth out of the freezer and let it thaw in the refrigerator. But it's all going in the same pot, and it's all going to get heated up, so I'm just going to let it heat and do its thing. Hey, Yarnia! Glad you were hanging around. Nice to see you. Trying to research for baby blanket pattern. Nice. Okay. So I think now I want to do a bit more, I want to do some prep for the toasts. Brussels sprout ricotta toasts. While that is coming to a boil. Yeah, Lilith, I think the next thing we're going to have to debate is your thing about cold pies being pudding. Because that I have some issues with. I have some issues. Because pudding doesn't have a crust. Oh, here we go. This is They Who Govern Reason. Nice. Alright, I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Okay, so this is simmer, cover the pot, cook until squash is very tender, then puree, and then we make the topping for it. Okay. I am making a winter squash soup. So I'm making winter squash soup. I made a cocktail to go with it, an apple cider old-fashioned, which tasted very good and is chilling right now. And then I'm going to make Brussels sprout ricotta toasts. So I'm thinking I need to switch this back, actually. Thing in the middle. That is some frozen turkey stock, which needs to melt into the soup. And I freeze my stock in 2-cup batches, and I needed 2 cups for it, so that's why I knew I could just grab a block, throw it in there, let it melt. So I'm gonna let that do its thing. I'm gonna switch this back, and we're gonna do Brussels sprout stuff. Oh, I love this piece of music. Okay. This is going to be slightly dangerous, but don't worry, I got it. See, like I said, slightly dangerous, but I got it. Gizmo, be careful. There we go. Ta-da! And we are back with the cutting board. Prop this up a little bit so you can see the pot over there. Yep. Okay. Oh. Syrup got on the stand of my camera. Hang on a second. I just love the strings in this. Okay. Next recipe. This is also the advantage of cooking out of the same book, is that I don't have to search around too much to switch recipes. It's charred Brussels sprout toast with ricotta. Okay, so let me see what's going on here. Brussels sprouts, trimmed, half lengthwise, sliced, 1/8 inch thick. Actually, I can just put them in that bowl, I think. Alright. Pulling you up for a lurk while you run to the store. Aw, thank you, Chaos Cat. Appreciate that. Oh, I saw someone redeem something. Hang on. I will be right back. So it said a pound of Brussels sprouts, or 12 ounces of sliced Brussels sprouts. So I got 12 ounces of halved Brussels sprouts. I don't know. Hydrate, okay, thank you. Appreciate that. I think she does crochet. I'm pretty sure you crochet, Yarnia, right? But you could send it to me, and then I could share it with her, because I know how to do that. Gizmo, why you gotta sit right where I need to stand? See? Why you sitting? Sitting right there. Knitting I've seen, I mean, but I thought she knew how to crochet. She mostly does knitting, but I thought she didn't know how to crochet. And I think she's like adapted patterns to do. I don't know. I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure, Yarnia, I'm pretty sure you know how to crochet, but you just do mostly knitting. And haven't you adapted like some patterns from crochet to knitting? Or maybe I'm just imagining that part. Okay, so we need to thinly slice. And this is pretty much the most complicated thing I need to do for this recipe, is thinly slice these. because then we're going to char them in a pan. Let me see what's going on here. So we're gonna toast some bread. We're going to char Brussels sprouts, season with salt and pepper. And then squeeze lemon all over the top, season with more salt and pepper, and then you just spread the bread with ricotta and put the Brussels sprouts on top, drizzle with some stuff, and put nuts on top. So this is like the most complicated thing. But why? Yeah, this is just weird to me because it says Brussels sprouts trimmed, halved lengthwise, sliced 1/8 inch thick, which I think is what I am doing right here. But then when she describes them in the pan, she says let them cook undisturbed and then flip and let the second side brown well underneath. But you're gonna have strings. I guess she's kind of treating it like a pancake. Like it's going to make a level surface and then you will flip it. It's not necessarily flipping like slices. It's just letting... Okay. I'm not sure if I described that well enough, but it'll probably be easier once I put it in the pan. I think I got it now. I was confused because when you slice Brussels sprouts, you pretty much end up with coleslaw because you get little strings of stuff. So I was like, how does that translate to flipping from one side to the other? But if you're treating it sort of like hash browns, that's a better example, not a pancake, hash browns. If you're treating it like hash browns and it's all gonna sort of cook together on one side and then you flip the whole thing over, I think that's what she means. Oh, thinking about my train of thought from way back before we started talking about stuff, we were talking about movies before we started on our culinary debate, which I would be happy to continue if anyone wants to. I was talking about movies, and I mentioned Far from the Madding Crowd, and I have issues with that. I have issues. Shredded veg or coleslaw? Okay, now we're getting... Okay. Oh, sorry, Gizmo. Here we go. There's another debate. What makes coleslaw? Now, coleslaw... Gizmo... When you sit there, I step on your tail. And then why are you complaining at me that I stepped on your tail? Silly cat. Okay, so coleslaw has to have cabbage in it. I guess so. So... technically, this could be coleslaw, because Brussels sprouts are a type of cabbage, yes? So, I'm not calling it coleslaw. I guess it could be coleslaw, though. Is sauerkraut coleslaw? Here's another thing. Is sauerkraut coleslaw? Or is it like pickled coleslaw, I guess? Gizmo. Look at what she is doing. Here. She's got her tail resting right on the top of my foot. But if I step on it, she's gonna complain about it. Yeah, you are gonna complain if I step on your foot. I mean, your tail. It's fermented. You're right, yeah. That was a whole other thing that came up, I think, when someone was making pickles. He said something about, technically I didn't make pickles, I made a fermentation. And that threw me for a loop. Like, not everything... It's like pickles use acid, but when you ferment something, it uses other things. I think that was the definition I looked up. It's more akin to kimchi? Oh, yes, you're right. But would you call kimchi fermented coleslaw? Like, does that all fall under the same family, do you think? I'm inclined to think it all fits into one group in some way or another, or like under one category. But I usually think of coleslaw as cold. I guess kimchi you usually have cold. But it's like coleslaw is raw, whereas the other stuff is fermented. Not all kimchi has cabbage. Oh, really? I am not as familiar with kimchi as I thought then. Not all kimchi has cabbage. Huh. What other types of kimchi are there then? Like cucumber or... Because I'm pretty sure the only types I've seen have cabbage in them. And yeah, I'm thinking about maybe putting together a couple of YouTube videos, because I had issues with Far From the Madding Crowd, just story-wise and structure-wise, where I was like, it was hard for me to really get into it about halfway through, just because I wasn't buying it. I was not buying it. And then the ending was like, ooh, I don't know about that. So yeah, I might just make a YouTube video about that. There are several. Okay. I've just never heard of one without cabbage in it. Alright, gotta get my skates on with these Brussels sprouts because I want to get these chopped. Okay. And I need the stovetop for this, so I'm gonna have to wait for the soup to be done, but hopefully by the time I'm done with this, it's close to being done. And then I need to make the topping for the soup. And then the Brussels sprouts. Oh dear. Still feels like I got a lot to do, but once it starts coming together, it'll all come together pretty fast, I think. Spring onions, diced radish. Oh, radish! Okay, like daikon and stuff. Spring onion kimchi. That sounds really interesting. I've never heard of that. Lots of radish types, though. Okay. Cucumber is your favorite? I could see that, because cucumber being so refreshing and juicy would make like a really good contrast with the hot, spicy. Although, is all kimchi spicy? That, I was under the impression it was, but I was under the impression it always had cabbage in it, so I could be very wrong. But like, since you pickle cucumbers, like, you know, it goes well with that sort of fermented, pickled vibe, I guess. So I could see that working for a kimchi. But I'm also thinking I want to do a YouTube video talking about the American president and Dave, because those stick together so much in my mind. And then when I was thinking about the stories, I realized they have very different approaches. It's a good study of internal conflict driving a story versus external conflict driving a story. And that would be an interesting thing to contrast, but I need to sort of gather my thoughts more on that. Otherwise, I'm just going to ramble about it. But that might be a thing I do at some point. But as for cooking debates, I like having those in person. I like having those in this format where I can bounce ideas off immediately and be like, oh, what about this thing? What about this thing? Ooh, ow. See? Freaking heck. I just scraped that cut against the side of the cutting board. Ah, ouch. Do you allow links? You know what? I'm not sure anymore. It's been so long since I checked the permissions. Try it. If it doesn't, you can drop it in my Discord. So did it allow it or not? Or is that... Or you can just tell me what to look up, I suppose. Okay, sorry. Just kind of distracted, like, ow! That was not good on my hand. You can see it? Okay, but I can't. I just see some asterisks. That's weird. I'm just curious now, like, what does it actually say? I think this is the one I use. This, like I said, it's been so long since I got into... Or do I use... Actually, no, wait a minute. Streamlabs. I'm just trying to figure out now, like, nothing major, just different types of kimchi. Okay. Like, if you tell me what to Google, I could do that. Okay, I think this is the one I use. Cloudbot. There we go. See, that's not even on, though. Yeah, I'm not sure where the button is for that, sorry. But I can look up different types of kimchi. I'll do that later. Thank you for looking it up to begin with, because that is fascinating to me. Alright, let's take a look at our soup and see what's going on. Ooh, I am smelling something really good in there. What is that? It reminds me of something and I can't put my finger on it. Dang, what is that? It smells so familiar. It's not exactly curry. I'm pretty sure it's the cumin and like the squash. But there's, what does it remind me of? Oh, can whisper it? Oh, okay. Like in the Twitch messaging? Okay, that would be an option then. Thank you, Hooch Bazooka. Yeah, when it comes to tech stuff, I am very much hopeless. So I do not know all the options to send things to people. Oh, this piece of music is so good too. So I'm thinking this should be... Ah! Got distracted because that smells so familiar and I can't figure it out. I'm thinking this should be... Yeah, that's pretty tender by now. Nice. But... Man, it's triggering something in my brain and I can't figure out what it is. So I'm gonna turn that off. It's such a familiar smell. What is that? It's kind of charred, kind of spiced. It's like a warm spice with a bit of char in the background. It's not curry. I can't even think of it. All right. It smells good though. That's the thing. It smells good. It's probably the cumin, but it's triggering some sort of memory in there that I can't quite grasp. I don't know what it is, but it's good. It feels like something that I smelled like a long time ago, like maybe even like childhood memory. It makes me think of something around Christmas time, perhaps. That's probably the cumin as well. Well, no, cumin isn't in like pumpkin pie spice. But there's something in there that's like reaching back into my brain, which is a good feeling. It's that nostalgic feeling. It's like, oh yeah, I smelled this a long time ago. I can't remember exactly where, but I did. So it gives it that comforting feeling. Familiar feeling. Alright, unplug this for a second so I can plug in the blender. Alright, here we go. Hey, thank you for the alert, Lilith, and thank you so much for the brilliant culinary discussions. I love your take on things, and I would love to have more discussions with you in the future. Now, the color of this doesn't exactly look the most appealing, but I'm thinking it will taste good. Yeah, that is the cumin I'm smelling. It's definitely the cumin. It's something about it mixed with the squash, I think, that's giving me sort of almost like, no, it's not Christmas vibes, it's Halloween vibes, or like Thanksgiving. Something about it with the squash. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what, but it's good. Whatever it is, it's good. Okay. But yeah, so, far from the madding crowd. As Jill Barrett would say, the plot goeth thusly. So there is a young woman, played by Carey Mulligan, who is... She describes herself at the beginning as just too independent for marriage. A farmer proposes to her, she turns him down. She ends up inheriting a farm, and then his flock dies, so he comes to work for her on the farm. So essentially, she has moved above him in society, so now they can't be married even if he wanted to. Michael Sheen owns a neighboring farm and wants to court her, and then there's a soldier who pops up who wants to court her as well. So there's like 3 love interests going on. And it was based on a book, and it was one of those things where I'm like, I think maybe it would have gone better if I'd read the book, or just the book would probably be a little bit better, just because I really got the feeling we needed to see in her mind and see what was going on in her mind, because she keeps things very close to her chest, and then like halfway through she does something that seems very out of character for her. And I'm like, what are you thinking? Alright, let's give this a taste. Ooh, that is good. It's not as heavy as I was expecting. For a squash soup, that's very light, which I like. That's good. Could probably use a bit more salt, and I'll probably put some MSG in here as well. And there's going to be the crisp on the top. No cream? That's true, but it does have coconut milk in it. Although I suppose coconut milk on the whole is lighter than cream. But that is probably contributing to it. No cream. But also just given the overall texture of it, because it is a creamy soup. You can see it's thick. That was pretty good. Oop, final boss fight music. I wondered if we get to this at some point. I have it on shuffle, so I didn't know which was coming at what point. It still feels like it's missing a little something, but we are going to make the crisp for the top, so I'm not going to mess with it too much just yet. I'm going to set this aside, and then we're going to make the crisp, and then we're going to make the ricotta toast, like one right after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Let me get back to my soup recipe. So yeah, so the deal is we're following her. We're also following the soldier at one point too. So the soldier was engaged to a woman, and they were going to be married, and she ended up going to the wrong church. And then we sort of lose track of him in the story for a bit until he collides with Carey Mulligan in the woods one night, like literally collides. Now, throughout this story, Carey Mulligan has been established as wanting to be independent, or maybe perhaps feeling she's just too independent for someone. She is running her own farm. She takes it upon herself to fire somebody. She stands up in the grain exchange and like haggles with a man, like she is, you know, in this. She gets into when they're sending sheep through a bath, or like sending them through like a water chute. I don't know anything about sheep herding. I don't know what it's called, but like they're getting sheep clean in a big bath, essentially. She gets in there with them because the farmer dared her, essentially. But she gets in there with them, doesn't mind getting wet, getting her hands dirty. She says when she takes over the farm, I will be up before you are awake, and I will be in the field before you are up. She has not taken any guff from anybody. And then she meets this soldier, literally trips over him in the dark in the forest. He has just been jilted, or at least he assumes he was. And he looks at her and immediately goes, you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And she's just instantly smitten with him. And then the next day he says, come meet me in the forest. She's going to send him away. She is angry at him at first. She's going to send him away, and then he's like, no, come meet me in the forest. She's like, okay, I guess I will. He impresses her with the sword play, and in like 2 days, they get married. Yeah, I didn't buy that. I didn't. I just didn't. I'm like, you've spent this movie building up how she doesn't want to get married, or is reluctant to be beholden to a man, is doing things on her own, has this whole farm she's running, and then she just gets besotted and marries someone instantly? Maybe? Maybe not? I don't know. They did make an effort. Okay, let me see what's going on here with a skillet. Skillet and coconut flakes. Where are coconut flakes? Now, it doesn't say sweetened or unsweetened coconut flakes. So I'm like, I don't know which one to use. I'm inclined to go with sweetened, because normally they specify unsweetened. But this just says dried coconut flakes, and I have about the right amount of coconut flakes. So I'm inclined to just use that. That's good. I know I just gave Mom a heart attack just like eating coconut like this. But it's good. Okay. So let's see. So we're going to heat oil, add red onion, coconut flakes, a little bit of red pepper flakes. Cook until a shade darker, add garlic, continue to cook until golden brown and crisp. About 2 minutes more, and season with salt. Okay, not bad. Oh, you love it though. Yeah. Yeah, I used to not like coconut. I think I probably told you this. Yummy. Yeah, I used to not like coconut until I discovered I liked toasted coconut. And from there, I got to liking regular coconut. Yeah, so in the movie, they did make an effort to show that she's somewhat impulsive. Because she sends a Valentine's Day card to Michael Sheen's character. I think his name's Goldwood. She sends a Valentine's Day to him as a joke, sort of. And he takes that to mean that she would be interested in a marriage offer from him, and that's kind of how that gets started. So it's like, yeah, she's a bit irresponsible, but she was goaded into that by somebody else. She didn't exactly want to do it. She got kind of goaded into it. And then I'm thinking, so how does it work with her running this farm now that she's married? Is her husband the owner of the farm now? Or does she still run it? I don't know. Here, I'm just getting a spoon. Oh, this is actually the final boss. It's like, well, there's 2 different stages of it, so this is just the second stage. Okay. Whoop. Too hot. So I'm just like, just didn't buy she would fall that fast for somebody without even thinking about it, because she just came across as more level-headed than that. So infatuation, maybe, I guess. It just didn't quite do it for me. And then on his end, whoa, okay, onion, coconut flakes, little bit of red pepper, and then cook, stirring almost the whole time until they're a shade darker, about 4 to 5 minutes. So yeah, so once they get married, like the night they are married, it turns out the soldier is a scumbag who just wants to party, and he ignores the farmer when he insists that rain is going to happen and they need to save their crops. And then, so she ends up saying that night, oh God, I've made a big mistake. But then she mentions something. She said that the soldier had told her about his first love, and she couldn't bear it. Like, she couldn't bear, and that was why she married him so fast. Like, she couldn't bear being second best to this woman, or couldn't bear the thought that he would love someone else. It was kind of confusing. So she essentially realizes she made a mistake that night. I guess that fits with her being compulsive, or just... But there was not a pattern established. That's the thing. It's like, she did one impulsive thing that she was goaded into, but otherwise, she seems to run her farm very responsibly, keeps her emotions close to her chest, is very level-headed. There just wasn't a pattern there to me. So then on his part, then the soldier's love interest comes back. She finds him again, tells him what happened. So he says, okay, I'll give you some money, I'll make this right. And she is pregnant. Okay. Add garlic and continue to cook until golden brown and crisp, about 2 minutes more. Then season with salt. So yeah, so she's pregnant. Then she ends up dying in childbirth. and her body gets brought back to Carrie Mulligan's farm because she was working there. That's like her last known address. So Carrie Mulligan sees her, figures out what happened. Then when the soldier comes back and sees her, he gets extremely distraught. He tells Carrie Mulligan, she's dead and she means more to you dead than you will ever mean to me alive. Like, ouch. Oh God, like that was a good line. So then he goes off and swims away into the sea and drowns. And I'm like, that doesn't seem very in character for you either. Because you met Carrie Mulligan, right after you'd been jilted by the First Lady, and you immediately told her how beautiful she was. You were immediately smitten with her. It didn't seem like you were grieving for your other love at all. And then, because you turned out to be like a scumbag and gambling, he racked up gambling debts. Like, maybe he still loved her, but he would want to stay married to Carrie Mulligan because she's got the farm and the money. So then when she dies, you would think he'd be kind of relieved that she's out of the way and she's not going to mess up his life. But I could buy him loving her that much if he'd shown more grief at the beginning when he thought she didn't care for him. You know, if they ran into each other in the woods and he was upset, like he was there because he was upset and wandering and crying and devastated or something, I would buy that more. It just seemed like such a switch from the character they were building him up to be. This might also be personal bias on my part because he reminded me a lot of Wickham in Pride and Prejudice. Yeah, I think stick with Pride and Prejudice. That would be better. So, like, since he reminded me of Wickham, maybe I was building him up too much in that way, as just sort of like a playboy sort of thing. Oh, but then the ending. It gets even better at the ending. So he goes off, he's presumed drowned, and so that leaves her in kind of the same position as the beginning, except she has debts, and then Boldwood, Michael Sheen, keeps pursuing her, says that I will pay your debts, you know, I'm offering you safety, security, you don't have to love me, just marry me and I'll keep you safe and all that sort of thing. So, but she's still in love with the farmer from the very beginning of the movie. So it's like, is she gonna marry the rich guy and secure her position, or is she gonna marry the poor farmer? You know, that sort of thing. So then at the end, they're at a Christmas ball where she's supposed to make her decision. And she gets overwhelmed, she leaves the ball, and she runs into her husband coming up the drive. He was presumed drowned, but some fishermen came along and saved him. And he's come back to ask her for money, or like, not ask her for money, demand money, grabs her arm to pull her along, back home, as he says. And Michael Sheen pops up with a shotgun and blows him away. I'm like, what the hell was that? So he ends up going to prison, and the husband's dead, which leaves love interest number 3, who we knew she was going to end up with the whole time, because he was the first one, he's the most true, he's been the most true through the whole movie sort of thing, so they end up together. But I was just like, she got saved from making a decision. She did not have to make that decision. It got made for her by the most improbable set of circumstances. And that explains the husband's out-of-character actions, with him being so grief-stricken he would just go swim off into the sea. Because it comes across as the author needed to get rid of him. The author just needed to get rid of him for the rest of the story to progress. Only to bring him back to get killed, to remove both other love interests and leave her with the one. And I'm just like, I don't like that. I do not like that at all. Oh, man. So, yeah. I was inclined to give that movie about a 5 out of 10. Ben said he thought it was maybe a 6 out of 10, and I'm like, on the strength of the acting, sure. And it was shot very beautifully, and the music was good in it. But just for the story structure, I'm like, oh, no. Just no. Oh, and it says to add lime juice to the soup at the end. There we go. That's a thing, too. Ladle soup into bowls, finish with a squeeze of lime juice, spoonful of the crisp, and some cilantro, but I didn't bother buying cilantro. It says cilantro or parsley, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Alright, charred Brussels sprout toast. Drizzle pan with olive oil, cook until golden brown. Okay. So yeah, that was the issues I had with that. But I do find it valuable to watch stories or be exposed to stories that are weaker, because then you can figure out, well, what would I have done to make this better? And it reflected something that Ben's coworker told me about my own book, where he said he thought my heroine didn't quite save herself at the end. She got kind of bailed out. I don't think it was as extreme as this case, but I could see that how unsatisfying that would be. So that makes me thinking like, okay, so how can I do this better? So, yeah. So I think I'm still glad I watched it, but I mainly am glad I watched it because I saw what not to do. Okay, I happened to find this bread in the clearance rack. Rosemary and olive half loaf. So lovely little pieces of bread. Cook until golden brown and toasted. So yeah, we're just toasting this. And then flip over, toast. Rub with a garlic clove. But the thing I wanted to talk about with the American President and Dave is a little bit deeper, and like I said, I'm gonna have to kind of think my thoughts through on that a bit more, but it's a really good example of just different ways to construct a story. Because when you think about Dave, it's the external events that are driving the characters. Everything is external. It starts because of an accident or, a medical thing that nobody could have foreseen or stopped or something. And then Dave is kind of pulled along by that stuff. And even when the truth comes out, there's never like a big blow-up argument between the two of them. It doesn't go into that dramatic direction. They focus back immediately on the external. All she wants to know is, where is her husband now? External event. And then once they decide to stay and try and do some good and such, that's when the scandal breaks and they have to decide what to do. External event. Driving things forward and driving their actions and the plot. And there's internal decisions too, but the main decision they make is when they decide to stay in the White House, keep up the charade even though she knows it's a lie now, just to try and do some good. That's the main decision they make internally to keep things going. Now, when you think about American President, there is external stuff going on. There's the bill he's trying to get passed and things like that. But really, it's the internal events that drive the story. Hey, Tina! How you feeling? Is your stomach feeling better? All right, get these pieces of bread toasted. Yeah, that's toasty. Toasty bread. Yeah, like there's the external events going on, but the plot really picks up because he likes her. It's because he likes her that he offers her the deal in the first place. Get the votes for this bill and I'll give you the support for it. He wouldn't have offered it to that to her if he didn't like her. And from there, it's also his decision to invite her on the date to the state dinner. And that is what triggers the external circumstances, triggers the media storm and the polls and the frenzy and all that. It's his internal actions, his decisions that have caused external events to move forward and such. And by the time you get to the end of the story, you know, it's his decision to make the deal that screws her over. And at that point, external circumstances bow out of the story. He could have left it there. No one was gonna force him to change his mind. Nothing, no external circumstances, no scandal, no polls. I mean, like, they're talking about poll numbers, but in that moment in the movie, they don't talk about poll numbers. When his chief of staff, like that conversation between his chief of staff and himself, Michael Sheen and Michael Douglas, they don't mention any external circumstances, poll numbers, nothing. It's all about what are you going to do? What is your thinking, your morals, your thoughts? And you see by the end when he changes his mind and is like, nope, I'm going to throw out this bill and I'm going to support her bill. You see in the end, the external circumstances didn't matter at all. He could have changed his mind right at the very beginning and it wouldn't have changed, you know, he would have gotten to the same outcome. Everything is being driven by internal character consequences. Whereas in Dave, most of it, or pretty much all of it, is external. The stroke at the beginning that sets the story in motion, the scandal at the end that forces him out. It's like he really doesn't have a choice in the matter. It's all external circumstances. And I think that's what makes the difference. Oh, thank you for still lurking, Clenching Duke. Appreciate that. And I think that's what makes the difference between Dave being a romantic comedy and The American President being a romantic drama. Because external circumstances forcing characters into things is kind of the basis for comedy. Like, you know, slapstick, slipping on a banana peel. You know, you didn't make the decision to do that. There was a banana peel there and you slipped on it. The Pink Panther, you know, Inspector Clouseau, all that sort of thing. Physical comedy is all very external circumstances. Whereas where drama comes in is when you get choices from characters. Oh, that's why nothing's happening. The heat's not on. I was like, why isn't this toasting? Drama comes from the characters making decisions that then affect other characters and you get conflict. I'm not sure if there's any point to this rambling, which is why I'm hesitant to like make a video about it, but it just feels like an interesting thread to pull so that you can tell, like, you know, maybe you're writing a story that's very comedy and you want it to be more drama, or vice versa. How could you do that? And that might be one way to do it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's hot. That's hot. Okay, I want to try and put together a little taste of this soup and see how we do. So, soup. Dang, why is this taking so long to toast? Ben's wondering about lunch because the internet's down at work, but I want to get this done. Haha, you want bread now? Yeah, doesn't it look good? This is a rosemary and olive loaf, too. Okay, that's toasted enough. Like, I don't want to wait for this to get toasted, especially if Ben wants to have lunch soon. So I'm like, I need to get this done. There we go. Okay, add enough oil to coat the pan well and put in the Brussels sprouts. Eee. Yeah, just something I never considered before when thinking of those two movies. It's like how they differ. And not that one's any better than the other. It just depends what sort of mood you're in. If you're just in the mood for fun and no drama, you go with Dave. If you want something a little more serious, then and a little bit more meaningful, I guess, then you go with American President. Okay, so this is cooked undisturbed 3 to 5 minutes. And then lemon. Oh, I'm gonna season these with a little bit of salt. So it said to rub a garlic clove on the bread and season it with salt. So that's what I just did. And I need a little bit of lime juice for the soup. So the soup, you put the crisp on it. You put a little bit of lime juice, and then you're good. Put the lime in the coconut. Just like that. Looking pretty good to me. So let's see. Oh yeah, that definitely helped. I think it is good. Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's good that I went with the sweetened coconut, but I could see it working with the unsweetened. The sweet does add a different dimension to it though. So then you got the sweet, this little bit of spicy with the red pepper flakes. It's not that spicy though. And then the, lime juice with the zinginess, and then the salt in there, obviously. So you get a little bit of each of the flavors. And then the crisp adds the nice texture on the top. Yeah, I think that's a success. I like it. It's different from what I expected. Like I said, lighter than I imagined, but I think that's the coconut milk and then the lime juice in there. So it's like a half tropical, half winter soup. It's kind of odd, but it works. So yeah, I like it. That works. Another success. And I need a spoon for this. There we go. That's what you want. It said that you want charred. You want charred bits. Yeah. Repeat browning and flipping process until the Brussels have charred spots all over. So I am going to, I know I'm over my time right now, but I am going to have one of these little toasts. So you spread with ricotta. Oh dang, and I needed nuts too. I spent too much time yapping away, so I didn't get all my cooking done on time. Well, I would have had time if Ben didn't want to have lunch soon because of the internet going down. However, it calls for hazelnuts. I was not about to buy a bunch of hazelnuts, but I have macadamia nuts, so we're using those. And just chop those. So we're gonna put together one toast so that we can taste it. Yum. Oh, wait a minute. Did my music stop? Did we go through the entire album? What? How do we go through the entire album? Dang. Whoops. Not that one. I did not want that one. No, no, no. I mean, that'd be good, but I don't know if I can play that. I don't know if it's like copyright or something. Let's just go with that. I want like a little bit of music still. Okay. I'm thinking this is good. There we go. So then you squeeze in some lemon. Squeeze juice of half your lemon over the top. And season with salt and pepper. There we go. Yeah, this is sort of a, like you're supposed to put it together. How do I say it? This is like a component recipe. You make all the components, but you don't put it together until you're ready to eat it. So I'm just gonna put together one of them and then just save all the other pieces so that I can have more later. And toast nuts. I'm thinking you should always toast nuts. That's one of those things. It's just like, it just makes it automatically so much better. Okay, ricotta. And I found some ricotta in the bargain bin too. So this like really nice Bellwether Farms basket ricotta. Yum. So ooh yeah, this looks good. All right. I just want to taste one of these things and then I gotta go. But I do not mind being distracted during cooking streams at all, because that was a hell of a fun conversation. Love it. So spread thickly with ricotta, heap with the charred Brussels sprouts, finish with oil, lemon juice, salt, red pepper flakes, and scatter with the nuts. That is a good ricotta. So how does this taste? look bad. A little bit more salt. Pretty much just waiting for the nuts to toast now. I'm thinking this batch of recipes is pretty much another success. I think this one is going to be the most divisive, just given that Brussels sprouts tend to be divisive. But I'm curious about the whole effect together. Like, little bit of oil. That's like a lot of oil, but oh well. Just a touch of lemon, and let me get those nuts. Lightly toasted. That's all right. Yeah, that looks all right. All right, I'm just gonna shove that in there for right now. Actually, let me take a picture of this right now. Yeah, I'm gonna hold it up in a second. But I'm just like, let me take a picture of this right now so that I don't have to make another one take a picture of it. There we go. Ta-da! Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Nice little bit of ricotta cheese on there. But yeah, point taken with tilting the camera up. I could do that. Yeah, it is unusual, isn't it? Well, let's see how it tastes then. Mmm. That is quite unusual, but I do like it. It's nothing spectacular, like it's still got very basic flavors. Salt, pepper, lemon, the ricotta. But it's good. It's like a very nice, good, hearty bite. I think what I want to do is add something into the ricotta. Since she says to spread it thickly, there's a lot of ricotta there. Either I want to add something to the ricotta, or I want to flavor the Brussels sprouts more. It just feels like they're both too similar in flavor, even though the texture is different. They're both very neutral in flavor, and I want one of them to have more of a kick to it. Yeah, I think I'd like to flavor the Brussels sprouts more. Like put in more pepper or more lemon. Probably more lemon. Give it like a really big zing. So then you have the very sharp, citrusy Brussels sprouts contrasted with the creamy cheese. I think that's the key to it. Not that it's not good, because I'm still eating it. And you can still do it with the ingredients in her recipe. It's just a matter of ratios. Maximize the citrus in there. Like, if I were to do this again, I'd zest the lemon. She didn't say to do that, right? Nope. Yeah, if I were going to do this again, zest the lemon. Put all the lemon juice in there. And just like amp up that flavor to 11. It's so good though. Do not get me wrong. It's just very neutral, and I want something with a bit more punch to it. But yeah, I could have turned the camera up a bit more. Sorry about that. Okay, so I gotta head out now, but I wouldn't even call that a failure. That's just something that needs a little tweaking. The concept is there. I think, yeah, just a little bit of tweaking, or maybe throw in some more spices or something. So that's like the how many recipes I've done so far. This is now the 6th recipe. 6 recipes in, and this is the first one where I'm like, I don't know if I'd make this again, or if I did, I'd really tweak it around a bit, because I would want to do something a bit more bold. Not bad. It's definitely not a failure. It's not something where I'm like, oh god, I don't want to have this ever again. I'm just like, I want to have this in a different way. But the soup, really good. And the cocktail, really good. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Okay, I think I saw the notification that, yep, Yarnia is on. Let's make sure I am back over to Twitch. Yarnia. There we go. Oh, you missed the cocktail. Yeah, I don't think it's one that you would like. It's an old-fashioned, but it was you boil down apple cider until you make a syrup, and then you mix it with whiskey and some bitters. So it's an apple cider old-fashioned. Normally I'm not one for whiskey, but I used Fireball whiskey, which is cinnamon flavored, which I know I like. So it's really strong, but it is really good. And I think it'll be even better once it's been chilled a bit. Because yeah, there are cocktails in this book. There are a few cocktails, so I gotta work those in as well. I can't have a whole stream where I'm just doing booze. Alrighty, Yarnia. Okay, there we go. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for a fantastic stream. That was awesome. That was pretty amazing. Thank you, Epic Fail and Technic Bread, for following. Thank you, Grandma, for popping in and sticking around, seeing what I'm up to, even though you don't care for the soup, which is totally understandable. And Gizmo thanks you too. Yep, she's still hanging around. Oops, I should be on my raid screen. What am I thinking? Raid screen. Okay, there we go. Hi. So yeah, thank you, Lilith Labyrinth and Hooch Bazooka and Aiden and Epic Fail. I think it was Epic Fail. Yes, by Gizmo, for just the awesome and unhinged cooking conversation. Absolutely loved it. We should definitely do that again sometime. So I will be back next week, probably with another cooking stream if I had to guess, but we'll see. Just depends how I'm feeling. But I really do love these cooking streams, so I might just go with that. We'll see. But I'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place. Be there, be square, and keep being awesome people. Take care now. Bye-bye then.